Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitpatcher.com, out here for another gear review, and today, talking optics. This guy right here, which is the Prospectis Atro-8 by Accufire Tech. What do all those words mean? I don't know. Just kidding. It's a low power variable. So, model name, basically Prospectis Atro-8 variable, 1 to 8 power, and made by Accufire. So, with that, being a low power variable from 1 to 8, this is a first focal plane, meaning that as you basically move between that magnification range, the reticle either gets larger or smaller, and yeah, some kind of cool features built into it. Back here, the throw lever, it's cattail, pretty nice. You can actually unscrew it if you're not going to use it, or screw this thing in if you are going to use it, and moves between that whole magnification range, really nice and smooth. Turrets. I don't know. It really comes down to how you're going to actually use an optic. These I like in that while they are exposed, they're locked, meaning you have to basically raise them up, and once they're up, pretty distinct clicks, and then as soon as you make whatever adjustments you need, press them back down, and they're locked, both for your windage as well as elevation. Then over here on the side, if you unscrew this piece, you actually get a battery compartment there, and then you can start dialing through all of your different illumination levels from 0 to 11. And something else I do like is, while there isn't an off in between each one, you go from 0 to 1 or from 0 to 11. So rather than having to scroll all the way through to get to your highest magnification, you can just go back one and you're already there. So what has been my experience with this optic so far? Well, I've actually put in a fair bit of time with it, in part just out shooting at the range, whether it's kind of stuff up close or stretching further back and seeing how far I can push this thing out.
Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberty or democratic process.
I've also shot this on a number of different host guns. This one right here being the most recent one, it's actually moved on to this Griffin Armament, and it's done a good job for me, kind of across the board. I actually shot this optic at this was 3 days down at Thunder Ranch, their Urban Precision Rifle course. Really awesome course, did a video on it a while back, and yeah, basically shot this that entire time.
Hit, hit, hit.
The emphasis of that course, not so much as shooting really, really far, but more low probability shots in closer engagement distances. I say closer, like 100 yards, something like that. And yeah, this did a great job for me. Not to mention when we did actually get to stretch it out to include doing some high angle stuff from up on the side of a mountain. Overall, the optic it's done a good job for me. Is there anything I maybe don't like about it? Well, I will say the illumination, well, it does a pretty good job of illuminating that reticle. When you turn this thing on to 11, and especially at 1x, it's pretty usable, but it's not daylight bright. And by daylight bright, I mean, can you turn this thing into like a fireball so that if it's really bright and sunny out and you have like bright colors, think desert, like everything's kind of washed out already, is it still visible? And no, not really. But you can also just turn the illumination off and throw it up, and now you have an etched reticle. And I will say, you have these big stadium lines coming in from the side, which definitely help draw your eye to the center, and then that big ring kind of in the center. And then as you're able to crank this thing up in magnification, pulls all that forward, and you actually have like usable, essentially a workable reticle. So you have your holds both for windage as well as elevation, and once you kind of figure out your load and where your holds are within there, totally usable. And usable across a number of different platforms to include different calibers. With respect to that reticle, I will say the lines are a little fatter than I would like. And here's the thing. First focal plane reticles are really difficult because it's always a compromise. Like look through a 5x25. Chances are it probably sucks at 5x if it's good at 25x. Conversely, at 1x versus 8x, yeah, like how do you make something that reads really well at 8x and also is still usable at 1x? And that is difficult. So while this is usable across the entire range, I will say once you get to 8x, the lines, honestly, personal preference, just a little fatter than I would like. As far as kind of like stats, we'll say, length, looking at just over 10 inches, I want to say 10.3 inches, and weight, about 1.2 pounds, which is pretty good for low power variable. All in all, I think this thing's pretty solid. Things I do appreciate is, honestly, options. Usable reticle, especially on 8x, you can do all of your work inside of it, or if for whatever reason you decide you need to make adjustments, really easy to just lift the turrets up, make whatever adjustment, move them back down, and they're locked. You're not going to accidentally bump them, anything like that. Price-wise, if it is something you're interested in, right around or just under, I guess, about $1,000. And yeah, kind of cool. There will be links down below if you're interested in checking it out. And last but not least, if you appreciate my content and want to support it, greatly appreciate it, whether it's liking and sharing videos or picking up stuff over at kitbadger.com, KBAT target pads, things like that, or supporting me directly through Patreon. Helps me go out and create more content for you. But as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.